I'd like to call to order the Middletown City Council meeting for Tuesday, September 6th, 2022. If we could start with a moment of meditation followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Skank, will you please call the roll for us?
Mr. Farrell.
Here.
Miss Nenny.
Here.
Mr. Moon.
Here.
Mr. Muterspaw.
Here.
Mayor Condrey.
Here. Okay, gosh, I'm not used to going straight to citizen comments. I feel like we've had so many things at the beginning of meetings. Okay, so the first item up tonight is our citizen comments. We have 3 citizen comments this evening. We'll just ask that when you come up to the dais, just state your name and address for the record. The first is Jeff Payne.
Jeff Payne, Downtown Middletown, Inc., 1050 Central Avenue. I'd like to just hand these out to you guys.
Jeff.
Oh, don't give me too many. I'm bribing an official over here.
I just wanted to take a brief moment and introduce another program that we're putting together. This is our $5 coupon program. It's primarily for the purpose of helping us to work with our downtown businesses and generate additional foot traffic. We hope to have this program in effect starting this weekend, which, by the way, is the Port Middletown Art and Music Festival, which is a collaboration with DMI and a number of the downtown institutions. So this particular program is open to all businesses in the DMI service area. All that they need to do is be willing to honor the coupon itself. It's good for any goods and services that are purchased within the downtown service area, with the exception of alcohol. And our objective, as I said earlier, is to generate more foot traffic in our downtown. And this program we hope to continue throughout the balance of the year. So at every civic event that comes up through the remainder of the year, we'll have our pop-up tent there, and we'll make these available to our guests and visitors. We just want to do whatever we can to generate more traffic. We know that with the construction project, which is going to be in the long run a tremendous benefit for downtown, we are seeing significant drops in traffic, not only just within the construction zone, but in terms of comments that we're receiving back from businesses, but through the entire corridor. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
Mayor, do you mind if I ask a quick question?
Sure.
I was just curious, how exactly would visitors to downtown go about getting one of these coupons? They each just get one for coming down and visiting the DMI tent, or how do they?
Well, the idea is right now.
Is that the only way that they're going to be handed out? Are they handed out at other things?
Well, our board basically authorized a limited amount of funds, so we didn't want to just kind of hand them out willy-nilly. So we thought this would be a great way to, one, as people come down, we'd give out one per family, and then we'd ask for like their zip code, because we're trying to track where people are coming from as we do events. And then as we see the success, we may begin to just sort of take that next step and do more, make a larger commitment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, have a great evening.
Too. Okay, next we have Abdul Ahmad.
Good evening, or late afternoon. Abdul Ahmed, 220 Park Manor Drive, Dayton, Ohio. So I am here to share with you that this is International Underground Railroad Month, proclaimed by the state of Ohio. State Representative Willis Blackshear announced the Ohio House passage of House Bill HB 340, which would designate September as International Underground Railroad Month to honor the history of Ohioans who contributed to the Underground Railroad's mission of justice for enslaved people. With the passage of HB 340, we are honoring, preserving, and recognizing the lives and stories of freedom seekers, abolitionists, and those whose names are no longer known that helped enslaved people escape to freedom. Ohio will be joining 11 other states in preserving this history, said Representative Blackshear. September was picked, he stated, as the month that both Harriet Tubman and Frederick Douglass made their escape from slavery to freedom. Ohio was a free state. Once you crossed the river, slavery was not allowed by law in the Northwest Territory. The distinction that Middletown has, I spoke to you a while back on the anniversary of the commemoration of the groundbreaking for the Miami-Erie Canal. Well, the tow paths of the canal and the banks of the Great Miami River were Underground Railroad routes. The Underground Railroad was a system of abolitionists helping fugitive, enslaved African Americans to move north. Middletown was the hub for this region. Our cities above us, Springboro, Springfield, West Elkton, Gratis, they're known for the Underground Railroad, their history. We're known, but not the way we need to be known. So this month we're going to take the liberty to make Middletown louder. And the 17th of September, a Saturday, we'll have an exposition at the Midpoint Library. Do it throughout the day. And I had the pleasure to produce a DVD with Sam Ashworth. I think it was 2012, The Long Path to Freedom. So we probably will show that, have some general discussion, and share with people. Even though we're not on the map, Middletown is an Underground Railroad city. I've been to the National Underground Railroad Conference, 2 of them, in the past, and talked about Middletown, so we're known. We also made application to the National Park Service to become a partner in the Network to Freedom. What that will do once we get all our information in, the National Park Service will adopt Middletown as being a part of their system for tourism. So Ohio's theme is Ohio Find It Here. So we're all about seeing the downtown, Middletown, as a destination. Again, the bike path, International Underground Railroad, we have it. But the beautiful thing about downtown, Governor Square, is where Dr. Andrew Campbell lived with his wife and their son, James Campbell, who became governor, was a safe station. Titus House out in Avalon Park, another one, and then a house over in Gardner Manor, Underground Railroad homes. So we have a lot to say, and thank you for the 4 minutes.
Thank you.
Abdul, what time on the 17th? What time?
We'll set the exposition up to open at 11, and we'll be there until 4:30. So yeah, we'll have quite a bit to see. It should be fun. Thank you.
Thank you. And next up we have Jacob Brotherton, I believe. Brotherton. Okay, sorry.
Jacob Brotherton, 1601 Smith Avenue. So I'm super excited to see the town mall redevelopment. Just really revitalize Middletown. We want to stay in Middletown to do family things, and so I really feel like it'll put us on the map. Help bring people here to stay here, and I'm excited to see the motivation you guys have to see that this development happens. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. We appreciate it. Okay, that's all we have for citizen comments this evening. That brings us to council comments. Let's start with Mr. Muterspaw.
Thank you, Mayor. Two things. First of all, thanks for Abdul Shakur for coming down. I think I've said it before, we go way back, and even though he doesn't live here, his passion for Middletown is awesome. And he's so involved, and I'm so glad that you're doing things like this. Appreciate you. Second, just hats off to the people doing our streets. I have a client who came to Middletown, moved here from Miamisburg, and the first thing they said was they couldn't believe how nice the new streets were. So that made me really happy, because that's always been a contention in the past over things. So just to have somebody who doesn't live here, who moved here, say that really made us feel good. They moved here with their family and 3 kids, and they're Middletown Middies now. So that's pretty cool. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Moon?
No comments this evening. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Ninny?
Thank you. Speaking of the 17th, in addition to encouraging everyone to attend the exposition, I would also encourage whoever is available on that morning to join in the Great Miami Riverway Cleanup. That is starting at 9 a.m., and I believe people are meeting at Babs to get supplies and everything they need to start that cleanup. So if you're free on Saturday morning, we'd appreciate all the extra help you have. And Shakur, I'm sorry. I would also like to thank you for coming down and sharing that story with us, and making sure that everyone is aware of Middletown's specific role in the Underground Railroad. And to that end, I would like to, with council's support, request that maybe Amy could wordsmith a nice little proclamation and declare a day this month in Middletown for our role in the Underground Railroad. I think that would be really nice. So I just would like to request that as well.
I'll be happy to.
All right. Thank you.
Mr. Farrell?
One comment tonight. Tomorrow, Councilman Muterspaw and I will be holding sort of a town hall at the Swire tomorrow from 6 to 7:30. So if anybody's free and they want to come out and get some updates about what's going on in Middletown right now, we'd be happy to have you. Thanks.
Great, thank you. I'll just add, I wanted to make a specific note. Middletown teachers, I've seen them out and about in the city and interact with them quite a bit, trying to really get a good grasp on our city and everything that's going on. I just want to give a hats off to them. They don't have to get out of the classroom and do that, but they are, and I've seen them a lot lately. So just thought I'd mention, and it's really cool that our teachers are trying to get out and really make a difference just outside the classroom as well. And that's all I have tonight, which brings us to City Manager Report.
I don't have anything, just to say that staff is continuing to work on some of the ARPA recommendations you've made, so it's going to be a couple meetings before we bring anything back to you. We're listening to some input from citizens in Middletown and some organizations. So we're going to take a few more weeks and then bring you something solid in October. That's all I have.
Thank you. That brings us to the consent agenda. Ms. Skank, when you're ready for that, we are ready to hear it.
For your consideration this evening, we have to receive and file the following board and commission minutes. The Planning Commission from June the 8th, 2022, the Library Board from June the 15th, 2022, and the Architecture Review Board from July 19th, 2022, to confirm the appointment of Vanessa Ely to the position of Patrol Officer, the Department of Public Safety, Division of Police, Kevin Metz to the position of Budget Manager in the Department of Finance, Lisha Moreland to the position of Assistant Economic Development Director in the Economic Development Department, Riley Wilson to the position of Corrections Officer in the Department of Public Safety, Division of Police, and Grant Morton to the position of Maintenance Worker in the Department of Public Works and Utilities Stormwater Maintenance Division, to confirm the promotional appointment of Michelle Heidler to the position of Equipment Operator in the Department of Public Works and Utilities, Division of Street Maintenance, to accept the following board and commission resignations: Greg Couch from the Airport Commission, Dr. Keith Bricking and Jennifer Effinger from the Community Center Advisory Committee, to receive an oath of office from John David Scranton to proclaim September 5th through the 9th, 2022 payroll week, and to proclaim September 16, 2022 National Step Family Day.
I'd like to move that the matters listed under the consent agenda are to be considered routine and enacted by one motion and one vote.
Second.
Ms. Ganku, please call the roll.
Ms. Nenny,
Yes.
Mr. Moon,
Yes.
Mr. Muederspaul,
Yes.
Mayor Condrey,
Yes.
Mr. Farrell.
Yes.
Legislation.
Good evening. Before we get started on the legislation this evening, I believe there are two items that are being proposed as an emergency. So I'd invite a motion to waive any applicable charter requirements with respect to readings and declaration as an emergency for legislation items number 1 and 2.
I'll move to waive the charter provisions requiring reading on 2 separate days and to declare Ordinance number O 2022-71 and Ordinance number O 2022-74 as an emergency measure and read one time only.
Second?
Ms. Ganku, please call the roll.
Mr. Moon,
Yes.
Mr. Muederspaul,
Yes.
Mayor Condrey,
Yes.
Ms. Nenny,
Yes.
Mr. Farrell.
Yes.
The first item tonight is ordinance number O 2022-71, an ordinance enacting and adopting the 2022 supplement S14 to the Codified Ordinances of the City of Middletown, Ohio, and declaring an emergency. This is a second reading emergency.
So move for adoption.
Second.
I have nothing further to add on the editing or the updating of these ordinances.
Any comments or questions from council? Okay, Ms. Ganku, please call the roll.
Mr. Muederspaul,
Yes.
Mayor Condrey,
Yes.
Mr. Farrell,
Yes.
Ms. Nenny,
Yes.
Mr. Moon.
Yes.
Item number 2 this evening is ordinance number O 2022-74, an ordinance establishing a procedure for and authorizing a contract with Provision for the purchase of in-cruiser camera systems for the Division of Police and declaring an emergency. This also has already been read one time.
So move for adoption.
Second.
Nothing further to add.
Any comments or questions from council?
I have a
Ms. Ganku-
question.
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry.
Yes, go for it.
Just a question, Mr. Manager, the chief. When we go to body cameras.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that was my question.
Yeah.
Wow, you read
It
my mind.
remains consistent through the whole,
Okay,
everything we have now.
awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Chief.
Just for the record, Chief Burke said they do plan to go with Provision if and when we do body cameras. Okay, Ms. Ganku, will you please call the roll?
Mayor Condrey,
Yes.
Mr. Farrell,
Yes.
Ms. Nenny,
Yes.
Mr. Moon,
Yes.
Mr. Muederspaul,
Yes.
Item number 3 this evening is resolution number R 2022-33, a resolution to make adjustments to appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Middletown, counties of Butler and Warren, State of Ohio, for the period ending December 31st, 2022. This is for the general fund fire and is a second reading.
So moved for adoption.
Second?
Just as a reminder, council, this is for the purchase of a gear extractor to clean the fire gear that moves the $7,500 in grant money we received from Duke Energy into our operating equipment budget to make the purchase.
Any comments or questions from council? Okay, Ms. Ganku, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Farrell,
Yes.
Ms. Nenny,
Yes.
Mr. Moon,
Yes.
Mr. Muederspaul,
Yes.
Mayor Condrey,
Yes.
Item 4 this evening is ordinance number 2022-75, an ordinance establishing a procedure for and authorizing a contract with Thermal Process Systems for the purchase of an APT 5420 cast complete pump for the Water Reclamation Facility. This is a second reading.
So moved for adoption.
Second.
Just a reminder, this is to replace the pump that has failed at the Water Reclamation Facility.
Comments or questions? Okay, Ms. Ganku, will you please call the roll?
Ms. Nenny,
Yes.
Mr. Moon,
Yes.
Mr. Muederspaul,
Yes.
Mayor Condrey,
Yes.
Mr. Farrell,
Yes.
Item number 5 this evening is resolution number R 2022-34, a resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor and declaring an emergency. There's no action requested until September 20, 2022.
So council, on June 21st, 2022, you approved the annual tax budget for 2023. From there, it went to the Butler County Budget Commission, reviewed it, reviewed the millage to our tax budget to assure they were necessary. The Butler County Budget Commission has approved our property tax millage for 2023 for our tax budget, and City Council action is needed for final approval. And we need this as a second reading emergency because it is due by October 1st. So we'll have the vote on September 20th.
Any comments or questions from council? Okay.
All right, item number 6 this evening is ordinance number O-2022-76, an ordinance establishing a procedure for and authorizing the extension of a contract with Rumpke, Inc. for refuse collection and disposal and declaring an emergency. There's no action requested until September 20th, 2022.
Council, the refuge collection and disposal contract expires December 31st of this year. However, as the contract is written, this allows the city manager to extend the contract. We can extend it into 23 and 24. And this will give us the authority to extend it into 2023.
I noticed this is a 13% inflation cost on the solid waste fee, which is extremely high.
Yeah, we're planning on bringing a future increase in our refuge collection.
So this fee is getting passed on to on the bills, though, correct? The extra $2?
That is, it will when we raise it, yes.
Okay, so this is the contract between the city and Rumpke, and then we still have another legislation item to then
That is correct.
pass that on.
Yes. Yes.
You guys are working on a rate analysis right now for, is this included in?
We will be working on a rate increase, yes.
I have a lot of puns I could make about this one, but I'm gonna just say let's continue.
Okay.
All right, item number 7 this evening is resolution number R 2022-35, a resolution authorizing the city manager to submit an application to the Ohio Public Works Commission for project year 37, requesting funding for the resurfacing and reconstruction of various streets throughout the city and restoration of curbs, gutters, driveway aprons, and sidewalks deemed defective by the city, and to enter into agreements for such funding and declaring an emergency. Again, there's no action requested until September 20th, 2022.
Council, this project of repair to the streets, curbs, et cetera, is a project that will cost about $2.7 million. We're asking for authorization to apply for the OWC grant, which will help cover about $1 million of this cost.
Sounds good to me. Any comments or questions from council?
All right.
Do we have a specific map that shows what this portion of work will cover? I feel like in the past we've got a map along with it. Just so often we're asked from citizens about when certain roads are going to be completed, so.
Right, we can provide that at the next council meeting, if that's okay, but we have that.
Yeah, that.
And the paving map is on the website, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
But is the project year 37?
It's separate
included
from
in
what's,
that?
yeah, it's
So
not,
that's
it's
separate.
not on the paving levy website, because the streets involved with this project, right?
Right.
We can provide that.
Yeah, I think it's just helpful for the citizens.
no, I agree.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll be sure that it's included in the next workbook when it comes back for the second reading.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Item number 8 is resolution number R 2022-36, a resolution approving a written post-issuance compliance policy in connection with the issuance of tax-exempt and tax-preferred obligations by the city. This is a first reading.
Council, this is the post-insurance compliance policy that we're asking you to approve, which is a formal written policy that outlines the policy and procedures of how we will comply with the federal income tax and security laws. We included that in the attachments you received, attachment I I tried to read it last night when I couldn't sleep, and the next thing I knew, it was 8 a.m. It was some exciting reading. I was like, what's this?
Is that because you fell asleep? And
I had a
woke up on
similar
it?
experience with that.
Yeah. So essentially, the feds say we have to show we have a policy and procedure in place to follow the tax-exempt laws, and this is our written policy of such.
Great.
All right.
Enthralling. We're ready for the next one.
All right. Item number 9, resolution number R 2022-37, a resolution to make adjustments to appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Middletown, counties of Butler and Warren, State of Ohio, for the period ending December 31st, 2022. This is for the general and sanitary sewer funds and is a first reading.
This is to pay for the principal and interest on the bonds that we used for the ladder truck and for the reclamation facility building.
Do we have any updates? I hate to ask it, but the Light Up Middletown building movement.
Not yet. We are working on that. We've met with the Light Up Middletown people. They are in the midst of, they're essentially telling us, designing what they need, and then we'll bring that back
Okay.
at a, probably within the next 1 or 2 council meetings.
Okay.
But yes, we are working with them on it.
Great. Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Okay. That's the end of our legislation. That brings us to new business, I believe. Anyone have any new business items?
I had one item. I believe it was last budget cycle, we reorganized code enforcement and went to kind of divisions within the city. At some point over the next several meetings, I'd love to get an update on just how that's working, the feedback we're getting, and just if that's been a more effective way of doing code enforcement as opposed to the prior method.
Okay. And I'm going to assume you're referring to how development services was split up.
I was just thinking, I think they had geographically kind of put the city into 4 quadrants.
Oh, okay, that part of it. Okay.
Yes. Just
Yes.
curious.
Well, I'll give a report next meeting.
Okay.
Thank you.
I also hear we have a new public records request system that I had no idea about. Is that something we're planning to announce or roll out?
We do have one that has been worked on. I don't know that it is completed yet.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure where that is. It's Brody handles most of those. My understanding is that we have been testing it and working with it. I know our IT department has been working hard to get it put into place to streamline the process and have more visibility into the process of checks. I don't know if it's 100% rolled out at this point.
So, I mean, in an email from Ben today, it says there's a new public records request system. Next request, it went live in July. And there have been 344 requests submitted, 332 closed. So,
Okay, well,
Surprised we
let me
know that.
follow up and
yeah.
get you the information as soon as possible. I
If it's
wasn't,
live, I would really like
Yeah, I don't-
citizens to know that it's there and
yeah.
stakeholders.
it and how to
Yeah,
utilize it.
yeah. Maybe it was a soft rollout, but that's a lot of
I thought
we
requests.
didn't we talk about this? Or I remember this.
We knew that they were going to work on something, but I haven't heard anything else since that email I got today.
I didn't know it was live.
So, anyway, it would be a great topic in the future for.
We
Okay.
definitely-
Briefing.
yeah.
I'll get on it and get you the update as soon as possible.
Cool.
And as we were talking about the grant, I remembered that we were talking previously, we had discussed possibly hiring a position for someone to do nothing but grant writing for us.
What we've done is
Any updates
HR has been looking into it, and they've actually, what we're starting to come back with is it's very tough for cities to have one person who's that proficient in all sorts of different fields that a city may need grants for. So what we're looking at now is looking at organizations out there who we can contract with to do grant writing for us. So I don't have all that information compiled yet.
So that's best practice in the cities that you've looked at have contracted it out and
Yes,
been doing
a lot of cities are contracting it out because it's just really difficult for two reasons. One, to find someone who's well-rounded to do a lot of different grants that communities need. And secondly, it's a time thing, one person being able to accomplish all those grants that all these departments would be coming to them with.
Yeah,
Does
I think
that
it sounds
sort of
like a
depend
good
on the
approach.
size of the city? Is that one of the factors that,
I can't say, I would assume that, but
yeah.
a city the size of Middletown, and I know in the fire department, you know, there'd be several grants that we would throw at that person, and, you know, that's just one department.
Yeah. Thank you.
I have a, Nathan, you might know more on this. As far as outlots throughout the city, the vacant lots that can be built upon, I know we were kind of working on like a long-term plan for that. Just wanted to get a check-in on that, see where we're at, because I've had, with the cost of development kind of going down, 2x4s, that kind of thing, I've had some builders reach out to me lately.
Yeah, that's actually come up in, excuse me, discussion recently based on the work session the other week on the use of ARPA funds. As you'll recall, as council will recall, for instance, like the Oakland neighborhoods, a couple other neighborhoods were targeted for some redevelopment work with some of those dollars. And so we've kind of held back on, all right, what's going to be the plan for like those two neighborhoods, three neighborhoods, in terms of the marketing of those, what kind of package of lots and the like. Our planning department, our city planner is probably almost completed in looking at triaging the various parcels that the city owns, ones that are just so de minimis in size or have drainage swales or whatever else running through them that they're not really buildable. Others that perhaps with a variance or other accommodations are buildable, and then those that are, you know, it's very obvious that a home or something else could be built on them. And so we're putting together that inventory. The thing that we're still kind of vacillating over and struggling with is how best to recommend to you folks, how best to market those or offload those, whether it's a package deal, whether it's trying to forge, you know, bite-sized partnerships with the home building community, and also even ideas about some of our larger employers maybe partnering with the city to consider it as workforce housing for their recruitment needs and attraction needs. We have employers across the city that are down staff and are having issues in recruiting. Maybe that's a way to partner with our business community. But we should have that inventory done, I would hope, here in the very near future, so we can identify, I think, those three flavors of ice cream, ones that really are just, it's going to be vacant land, ones that are kind of in between, and the ones that we can obviously start to market and put back into productive use.
Okay, yeah, because I know a couple months ago, there's 12 lots I know that could be built upon right now that all the market data says they're good. And for months now, we've kind of been sitting on these, so I'd like to see if we get some progress on that at some point.
Yep.
Nathan, do you have any idea of about how many properties just in the Oakland area? I know you said 12, but I was curious if we have even close to a number. I mean, if you don't, you can share that later.
I mean, in the Oakland area, I'm going off memory here, because that was one of the first neighborhoods we looked at internally. There's probably somewhere in the neighborhood of a dozen to 20 lots just in that neighborhood that seem to be all buildable. We have, when I say buildable, at least in terms of dimensions of the lot, so they can meet setbacks and the like. We're doing a little bit more investigative work that some of those lots, when the former homes were demolished, some of them may have had basements removed, others maybe not. So there may be some soil compaction and constructability concerns. So that's why we're really investigating there. Citywide, I'm trying to remember in terms of, you take away some larger tracts of land or vacant land, we're sitting on a few hundred parcels across the city.
It's a lot of land.
It is.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. It would be a lot easier if we just had 12 or 15 lots. That would be.
I guess for me, I would be interested to see how those pockets of numbers of properties overlay onto a map of the city. You know, like, are they all in a certain neighborhood? Are they all in a certain area? Because I think when you talk about the scale that some of these builders are looking for. You know, if they can do multiple projects in the same neighborhood, maybe that is an advantage to them to do one neighborhood. And so maybe that's some way to split it up. I'm just kind of, if you're looking for feedback, that's where my mind goes immediately, is what does it look like on a map?
There's a map online that
Of
shows
what those numbers, all.
well, it shows where the city-owned property
Right.
that the vacant land is.
But these specific properties that are buildable, that we think are that
Well-
top tier of buildable property. You know how you said we're kind of trying to
Probably the large
create.
majority are buildable.
Right,
Okay.
but are they market-wise?
But are they
actually want to make
marketable? Right.
financial sense? I'm one person, right? But from what I saw, the Oakland neighborhood, you might have to, I don't know, incentivize a little bit. But there's 12 out there right now. I know that for a fact that are kind of like you said, scattered all over town. That somebody could go in there right now and put a house.
Yeah, if there's low-hanging fruit, right? Like if you've got a pocket of them all in one neighborhood that could all get developed pretty easily, or that we wouldn't necessarily have to incentivize, that's something that I think would be interesting to see.
Yeah, I think it was late last year, early this year, the city did put out an RFP in that neighborhood for
In
about
Oakland.
8 to 10 lots that were within probably about a 3-block walking distance of each other. Tried to have them all clustered. And I think, as Mr. Farrell said, yeah, we ran into some issues in trying to entice folks to partner with us on those lots of some unexpected costs, whether that be related really to 2 issues. Some of those lots needed some removal of old foundations and compaction work, which is something that's workable. And also in that district, there were certain architectural requirements that caused some increase in construction costs. And so that was where that conversation ended, I think, just with other things that were going on in the city at the time. And our staff's talking about re-engaging on that project and kind of doing a refresh.
Well, and that's the unfortunate part, is to one of your points, is some of these places that have been torn down, there was no record of what they did with the foundations. Did they just go right back over them? Did they remove all that? So you go in, and their costs sometimes of figuring that out can be tens of thousands of dollars. And what builder, with the upside of maybe I can make 25,000, 30, like large scale, you know, if you have to go in and spend $10,000 on each house, it becomes,
Right.
And the economy of scale of, you know, in this one neighborhood, can we knock this neighborhood out? Which one is the priority? And those sort of things, I think, are certainly factors.
Well, we'll try to get some exhibits to council before the next meeting on a lot of this.
Great.
On a related note, we're starting tomorrow having interviews with the designers who put in the RFQs for the city-owned property. So those interviews with those companies start tomorrow.
Great. Exciting. Anything else? Dare I say it might be an epically short council meeting.
It's me.
Thank you, Paul. Our next meeting will be September 20th here in council chambers, 5:30 p.m. So until then, blue skies over Middletown.